Welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at gods5minutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. The book of Kings gives us a story of Israel's first and greatest prophet reformer, bold Elijah. He began by telling wicked King Ahab there'd be no rain in Israel until he approved it. That was sure to set the king's forces start hunting him. Then he hid out in the wilderness, 1 Kings 17. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Get thee hence, and turn eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. We don't all have to contradict Israel's feckless king or his termagant wife Jezebel, but every child of God is certain to have a wilderness experience of some kind during his life. Elijah's time at Cherith can furnish us a pattern for coping with it when our time comes. Nobody knows today where the brook Cherith was exactly. Most likely it was on Jordan's eastern side, the land that had been Elijah's home. In any case, wherever it was, somewhere among the savage rocks, there was a rivulet trickling down through a gully and enough lush vegetation along it, to hide the prophet from the prying eyes of the king's messengers. So here stayed Elijah, how long we know not, and there was no rain. At last the inevitable happened. The brook began to dry up. Being in that place as was much an act of obedient faith as bearding Ahab to his teeth had been. So the man of God had every right to rest confident that he was in the will of God being there and expect God to care for him. But how? Must have been a test to watch the thin stream gradually diminishing from a current trickle, then at last a few remaining pools. No idea what would happen next. The reality is that is how God often deals with his people. He never looks at a situation and thinks, oh, no, I didn't expect this. What shall I do now? God has a way of waiting until his timing is fulfilled before opening the next steps before us in our lives. So what? Galilee's storm did not swallow the disciples' boat while Jesus slept on board. Elijah did not die of thirst in the barren wilderness. Peter slept all night before the angel tapped his side to rouse him just in time to escape. The typical Christian testimony, has often been, just before we perished, we didn't perish. Walk with the Lord, and you will have your own share of Elijah deliverances over which to rejoice. God had sent ravens to feed Elijah. How could he doubt he was under God's care when the wild birds became tame for the hour and brought him his meals? The deep silences of the ravine, the long days and nights with no company but the wheeling stars in their courses, the fluttering whistle of the birds' wings and their croaking calls were all part of the preparation for the grand work God had for his man to do in bringing a backsliding nation back. No less do the privations and seeming hardships God allows in our lives prepare us for his uses in this world and our spirits for a home in the next. Earth's greatest accomplishment is producing people of character who fear God. Put another way, all things serve the soul who serves God. Elijah was going to need spiritual and moral strength, and patience is one of the primary parts of that strength. So the stream went dry, the pebbles grew whiter, bleaching in the relentless sun. At just the proper moment, God sent the next set of instructions. Arise, get thee to Zarephath, which belongeth to Zidon, and dwell there. Zarephath was clear across Israel from Cherith, away up north among the headwaters of the Sea of Galilee, and on across to the blue waters of the Mediterranean. God's ways are not our ways. Traipsing across the breadth of the nation of Israel, while eager's wives were looking in every cave and behind every bush for him, must have seemed to Elijah like putting his head in the lion's mouth, but he obeyed. And when he came to the little city, he found awaiting him, just as God had told him he would, a widow woman under a command to provide for him till the drought was over. Till the drought was over, friend, it will be.
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at godsfive-minutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.
Hi, this is Luke Taylor with the Sky High Podcast Network. If you've been blessed by the program that you're listening to, I'd like to personally ask you to consider supporting our station. Our network is a collection of programs produced by KNEO Radio in Neosho, Missouri, a nonprofit station dedicated to educating Christians, reaching the lost, and making an eternal impact. This program is just one of many designed to encourage, equip, and inspire you in your walk with Christ. To help keep these programs going strong, visit kneo.org and click the donate button. And if you'd like to let us know in the memo line that you're a listener of this program, we would truly appreciate it. Thank you for being part of what we're doing here at the Sky High Podcast Network. If today's program spoke to you, please prayerfully consider supporting our mission. Together, we can make a difference for eternity.